गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गनर शॉट वंस अगेन। गनर शॉट में आप सबको स्वागत है दोबारा। आज हम देखेंगे चीन का जलवायु संकट, चाइना का एक झलक में इनका व्हाट्स द क्लाइमेट स्कर्ज विद चाइना फेसेस। दिस इज अ offbeat topic which normally people don't discuss, but this is pretty live in China. And understanding this goes a long way in dealing with China. हम सब सोचते हैं चाइना के बारे में कि उसका इकोनॉमी अच्छा है, उससे सब कुछ ठीक ठाक है, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह। पर चाइना का एक प्रॉब्लम है, वो है इसका जलवायु का संकट, और उसके बारे में हम जानेंगे। क्योंकि ये जो जलवायु का संकट है वो तब हो रहा है जब चाइना के अंदर खुद काफी बदलाव आ रहा है। कुछ बदलाव भी देखेंगे और चाइना में क्या होने वाला है, उसका जलवायु संकट का असर क्या है वो भी देखेंगे। क्योंकि फ्यूचर जो है थोड़ा अनिश्चित है, राइट। मैं बताना चाहता हूं कि आज तक मैंने ये अपना पीक इनटू एवरीडे चाइना में 14 सब्जेक्ट मैंने कवर किया है आज तक। कुछ प्योर हिंदी में कवर किया है, कुछ प्योर इंग्लिश में कवर किया है, और कुछ हमने बाइलिंगुअल बात की है, राइट। और ये सब फैक्ट बेस्ड एनालिसिस थे, फैक्ट्स जो हमने साउथ चाइना मॉर्निंग पोस्ट से लिया है। साउथ चाइना मॉर्निंग पोस्ट क्यों, मैं कहीं से भी ले सकता था, पर ये ऑथेंटिक होगा क्योंकि ये एक चाइना का मीडिया है। ये बार बार मैं बताता रहता हूँ, राइट। क्योंकि मैं अगर किसी वेस्टर्न मीडिया सोर्स से लूं या और किसी सोर्स से लूं तो फिर शक होगा कि भाई ये मोटिवेटेड फैक्ट है। नहीं, ये उनका खुद का कही सुनी बात है और लिखित में है, इसीलिए मैं उनका स्क्रीनशॉट लेके आपको दिखाता रहता हूँ, राइट। आगे जाके ये जो पीक इन एवरीडे चाइना, मैं थोड़ा इसमें बदली लाना चाहता हूँ। हियर आफ्टर हम करेंगे थोड़ा इशू बेस्ड एनालिसिस और फैक्ट के नहीं। आई विल गो बियॉन्ड फैक्ट्स एंड पुट इन certain issues the way I understand it. I'll make it more interesting so that we have a meaningful dialogue, right? Okay, right. चाइना में ये जो 2 सेशन हुए थे उसके बारे में जो मैंने 2 वीडियो निकाले थे, उसके बाद काफी बदलाव हो रहा है। ये आज के दिन चाइना के अंदर जो ड्राइवर्स ऑफ चेंज हैं वो नए हैं, जो निकल आए हैं, उभर के आए हैं, और वो ये हैं। इनका जो शॉर्ट टर्म में थिंग्स विच आर चेंजिंग इन चाइना आर इट्स लैक ऑफ कंजम्पशन, क्योंकि खरीदारी चाइना के अंदर कम हो रहा है। इनका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का दुविधा है, क्या प्रॉपर्टी सेक्टर आगे बढ़ाएं ना बढ़ाएं, हाई स्पीड रेल और बनाएं ना बनाएं, ब्रिजेस और वगैरह वगैरह और करें या ना करें, और कितना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर खर्च करते हैं। Why is this infrastructure thing more important? Because a lot of Chinese investments went into infrastructure, right? And infrastructure was a main pillar of their growth. वो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम में है। नेक्स्ट, देयर आर इंटरनेशनल हेडविंड्स, जिसके बारे में हमने एक पूरा, अगर आप याद है दोबारा दिखाऊंगा। सबसे पहले मैंने इंटरनेशनल हेडविंड्स किया था पिछले 1 महीने में, राइट। अगर देखेंगे तो बिकॉज ऑफ इंटरनेशनल हेडविंड्स, कोविड इफेक्ट वगैरह, रीलोकेशन और डीकपलिंग हो रहा है। ये हो रहा है, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है, और इसके बारे में मैं अगले वीडियो में दिखाऊंगा कि इसका एंड पॉइंट कहाँ है। क्योंकि काफी हद तक डीकपलिंग जो हो रहा है और रीलोकेशन जो हो रहा है वो इंडिया में हो रहा है, उसका अलग परिणाम है। देयर आर डिफरेंट facets to that relocation and decoupling, which I will explain to you in detail. Then the next driver of change is privatization. Well, if you remember, just after the 20th Congress Party, Xi Jinping In fact, during the 20th Congress Party, Xi Jinping had laid a lot of stress on state control of the economy. In fact, before that, he had destroyed all private enterprises, or virtually all big names were destroyed. Right? Now, they're getting back to privatization. और कि effort है कि वो privatization में वापस जाएं. क्या ये जा पाएंगे? After all, they have lost the trust of people who ran the private industry. The new team is at it, and this is a major change which is on the offing. Right. Next point. इनका ये है, दिस आर ऑल शॉर्ट टर्म, ये अभी चल रहे हैं, ये अभी लगातार चल रहे हैं. इसके ऊपर आप मीडिया में काफी देखोगे, आपको खुद का राय होगा, इसमें उतार चढ़ाव होगा. कोई एक मीडिया वाला एक तरफ बोलेगा, दूसरा मीडिया वाला दूसरा तरफ बोलेगा. पर चाइना का इसमें ये आफ्टर दिस 2 सेशंस एक चीज उभर के आया है. They have fixed the GDP of just about, they said around 5%. Earlier, in fact, the Communist Party of China is fixed on GDP. It is, GDP fixated. And they have always insisted from their own self and their local government that GDP targets must be achieved. The efficiency or efficacy of their cadres was in how to ensure GDP is achieved. And they went all out at it. This time they're not that sure. They said around 5%. Around 5% leaves them at a place where crossing the US economy will go further. They have to cross over 5% for them to, at least till about 2035 to cross the US GDP or other overall economy. Okay, so there is a change in this whole story, and this change is being diverted to their midterm drivers. What are those midterm drivers? इनके जो midterm drivers हैं वो है technology, military और Xi Jinping's international diplomacy. ये तीन चीज, all these three, I am analyzing through various sources, because just going by South China Morning Post in this will not give me a good idea, right? How they are going about technology, they made very big statements in the 2 sessions about technology. They've in fact restructured the Communist Party to get their technology goals and increase STEM sciences. It's interesting. I will make this analysis a little later because I don't think I have full, details to form an opinion. It's still coming in. Military, we all know it's going to continue. And the latest driver is Xi Jinping's international diplomacy. What is he trying in this? He's trying to be a world statesman. Why? How is he trying? He's already shown the deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia is a thing of statesmanship which has been midwifed by China. Now, 20th to 22nd, वो जा रहे हैं, शी जिनपिंग जा रहे हैं रशिया, और रशिया में वो पुतिन के साथ बात करेंगे कि किस तरीके से यूक्रेन युद्ध को समाप्त किया जाए. It's not going to be easy. He's also reached out to Ukraine, but इसमें यूक्रेन युद्ध में तीसरा पहलू है, वो है वेस्ट और नाटो और यूएस. उन्होंने वैसे ही बोल दिया कि जो प्रपोजल चाइना देता है वो हमारे लिए ठीक नहीं है. वी आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, राइट? वी आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन योर प्रपोजल्स. दे फील दैट चाइना इज हेल्पिंग रशिया. अगर चाइना रशिया को मदद कर रहा है, और उस वेस्टर्न कमेंट्री ये हो रहा है ऑलरेडी कि ये शी जिनपिंग जा रहा है टू Russia to see how to help the Ukraine war, or rather how to help Russia in furthering the Ukraine war than in getting peace, right? And the first proposal in the 12-point plan which China has given, put forth for the Ukraine war, to end the Ukraine war, is respect territorial integrity and sovereignty of all countries. The retort from the West is, first you do it. You respect the territorial integrity and sovereignty of all countries, then you can preach. So, and he says, people have said, don't think of anything beyond that, the rest is all useless. So, now you will see this midterm drivers are going to play up and they're going to come to the forefront. The economy has gone to the back. So, this change is something which, like I said, I'll take time to, it'll take me another week, 10 days to get my grip on it. Then I will talk. Okay, today we're going to talk of the long-term change. दूरदर्श का चेंज, बदलाव, क्या बदलाव है, क्लाइमेट चेंज और डेमोग्राफी. डेमोग्राफी के बारे में ऑलरेडी मैंने पिछले एपिसोड में, सॉरी, पिछले एक हमने बात किया डेमोग्राफी के बारे में. द डेमोग्राफिक बॉम्ब, वो हिंदी और इंग्लिश दोनों में है, राइट? आप देखिए उसको, क्योंकि वो डेमोग्राफी चेंज नहीं होगा, वो गाड़ी चल चुका है. कुछ भी करे चाइना, उनका डेमोग्राफी घटेगा, राइट? लोग बुढ़े होंगे, बच्चे पैदा नहीं हो रहे और शादियां हो नहीं रही, वर्कफोर्स घट रहा है. तो वो आज हम देखेंगे क्लाइमेट चेंज. क्लाइमेट चेंज चाइना के लिए एक बहुत अहम चीज है. क्यों अहम चीज है वो मैं आज बताना चाहता हूं आपको. और ये मेरा थीसिस है, ये कोई थीसिस नहीं, एक मेरा एनालिसिस है, ये एक मेरा अनुमान है. दिस इज माय थियरी. सो देयर विल बी गैप्स. I don't mind them being questioned also, but let me put it across to you. Right, climate change. Let's talk this. Major thing, droughts and floods have been endemic to China from time immemorial. This is historic. Many Chinese dynasties have collapsed due to drought, famines, and floods. The current drought, that was of the last year, the last drought, is more severe and extensive. इसका विश्लेषण करेंगे हम. सूखा और फ्लड्स दोनों चाइना के एम्पायर्स को में चेंज हुआ. जब भी ज्यादा सूखा होता था या बाढ़ आते थे, चाइना में राज बदली हो जाता था, नए डायनास्टीज आते थे. मेरे हिसाब से ये कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी भी एक डायनास्टी है. एक ना एक दिन ये इसकी वजह से बाहर जा सकता है. क्यों? पर आज का जो माहौल है वो अलग है, वो समझना इंपॉर्टेंट है, राइट? ओके, लेट मी एक्सप्लेन टू यू द थ्री मेन रिवर्स ऑफ चाइना, मोटे मोटे तौर पर, राइट? आई विल शो दिस अ लिटिल क्लोजर. देयर आर थ्री रिवर्स. इन द नॉर्थ इज द येलो रिवर, इसको बोलते हैं हवांगी. बीच में है यांगजी रिवर, नीचे है जी रिवर. ये जी चिनपिंग का नहीं है, जी रिवर. ओके, ये जो दीज आर द थ्री मेन रिवर्स. एंड चाइना जो नॉर्थ में है, इफ यू सी दिस मैप, यहाँ येलो रिवर का ब्लॉब बनाया हुआ है और वो पूरा ग्रीन कलर में है. These are the northern plains of China, and they are supposed to be the most fertile plains of China. Right? Okay. Now, the Huanghe River and the Huanghe Basin, जो हमने दिखाया है, या येलो रिवर भी बोला जाता है. पहले हम उसके बारे में सुनते थे Huangho. It is called the sorrow of China. चाइना सॉरो वाज बर्थ फ्रॉम द टेंडेंसी. ये क्यों बोलते हैं चाइना सॉरो, राइट? क्योंकि ये येलो रिवर जो है ना, ये ओवरफ्लो हो जाता था बाढ़ में और डिवास्टेटिंग फ्लड्स आते थे बाढ़ में और लोग, करोड़ों लोग मर जाते थे, राइट? उनका पूरा फ्लड्स में, इनका नॉर्दर्न प्लेन्स में फैल जाता था पानी और इनके जितने क्रॉप्स वगैरह थे नष्ट हो जाते थे, प्रॉपर्टी नष्ट हो जाता था। और इसको काबू करने के लिए चाइना ने काफी बांध बनाया है और काफी इरिगेशन सिस्टम बनाया है, इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है। चाइनीज हैव डन सम ट्रमेंडस इंजीनियरिंग इन इरिगेशन एंड एग्रीकल्चर, पर उसका परिणाम कुछ और है, इसके बारे में अब थोड़ी देर में बात करेंगे। ओवरऑल देखा जाए तो होंगी को काबू करने के बाद वहां पानी का किल्लत है, पानी उतना नहीं है ही नहीं। ओके, एक वर्ल्ड बैंक रिपोर्ट है, ये वर्ल्ड बैंक रिपोर्ट 2022 में आया था। इसमें क्या बोलते हैं कि इम्पैक्ट्स ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज थ्रेटन China's densely populated and economically critical low-lying coastal cities, which are home to an estimated 1/3 of China's population and contribute to 1/3 of its GDP. चाइना का जो सबसे अमीर जगह है उसका ईस्ट कोस्ट। China already experiences frequent coastal flooding, storm surges, coastal erosion, and saltwater intrusion. Unabated climate change could lead to estimated GDP losses of between 0.5 and 2.3% as early as 2030, according to this report. ये मजेदार बात है। चाइना का पूरा धन, दौलत, फैक्ट्रियां, सब कुछ उसके ईस्ट कोस्ट में है। ये देखिए ये मैप, इसमें से आपको बड़ा क्लियर हो जाएगा। इसका पूरा ईस्ट कोस्ट में है, शांघाई से लेकर हांगकांग तक, राइट। अगर ये ईस्ट कोस्ट इज अंडर थ्रेट, इसका जीडीपी में नष्ट होगा, इसमें दो राय है ही नहीं, राइट। और वर्ल्ड बैंक ने बताया कि ये हो सकता है और 2030 तक हो सकता है। 2030 ज्यादा दूर नहीं है, 7 साल है आगे, राइट। ओके, मजे की बात यह है कि सब बोलेंगे भाई ये तो एक अनुमान है, ये हकीकत में क्यों बदलेगा। मैं भी बोलता हूं अनुमान है, ये हकीकत में बदलेगा कि नहीं मेरे को नहीं पता, क्योंकि दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, isn't it? But we'll see historic tendencies and we'll come to some conclusions. That is one. दूसरी बात, second point. When the demographic problem was there, everyone told, okay, look, China's demography problem will start around 2030. वो तो उससे पहले आके खड़ा हो गया। China's demographic problem was 2030 में जो आना था अभी शुरू हो गया और उनका आबादी का गठन शुरू हो गया। उसी तरीके से ये क्लाइमेट चेंज भी मेरे हिसाब से शुरू हो गया कुछ हद तक। क्या रुक लेगा हमें पता नहीं, राइट, पर हिस्ट्री टेल्स अस समथिंग, वो हम देखेंगे आज। ओके, सौर ऑफ चाइना हमने बात कर लिया, वर्ल्ड बैंक रिपोर्ट भी देख लिया, बट बात यह है कि जो रेड में लिखा है, अगर ये 50% भी सच हुआ तो इनका जीडीपी में दिक्कत होगा। अगर इनका जीडीपी में दिक्कत होगा और वैसे भी इनका जीडीपी टारगेट मीट होने में मुश्किल हो रहा है और आगे जाके अगर आबादी भी घटेगा तो इनका ओवरऑल जीडीपी नहीं बढ़ेगा। यूएसए को छोड़िए, ये जीडीपी डिक्लाइन करना शुरू होगा। ये है प्रॉब्लम एंड वी शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ इट, राइट, एंड वी नीड टू मॉनिटर दिस। कल हमने बात किया था पाकिस्तान में हालत क्या है, वो प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है XYZ, उसको मॉनिटर करने की जरूरत है। उसी तरीके से ये जो चाइना का जो क्लाइमेट चेंज को मॉनिटर करने की जरूरत है। एक्चुअली आई वॉज नॉट कॉन्फिडेंट दैट आई शुड टॉक अबाउट दिस सो फास्ट, बट ये जो आर्टिकल है पिछले हफ्ते ये आया है इन साउथ चाइना मॉर्निंग पोस्ट, दैट ट्रिगर्ड द होल स्टोरी। और मैंने दोबारा सोचना शुरू किया। उन्होंने क्या बोला, चाइना विल हैव longer heat waves, more floods, and warmer seas this century, climate scientists warn. Forecasters say they must better communicate risks of extreme weather and climate events. और ये और कहीं नहीं है, ये एक चाइना वाले ने बोला और इसमें ये भी बताया कि इस साल ही होगा, इस साल से कभी भी हो सकता है. सो दे आर एट रिस्क, राइट. जैसे एक शेयर मार्केट में जाओगे तो रिस्क है, इसी तरीके से ये भी रिस्क है, राइट. सो ओके, इसके साथ साथ रियूटर्स में भी निकला आया है, चाइना वार्न्स ऑफ मोर एक्सट्रीम वेदर इन 2023. पिछले साल तो था ही, अभी भी हो सकता है. ओके, ये इसका थोड़ा आगे देखेंगे. ये इस रिपोर्ट में ये दिस इज नॉट द रिपोर्ट ऑफ the World Bank or Reuters. This is the report of South China Morning Post by one of their scientists. By the year 2100, extreme sea level events that rarely happen in coastal areas across the world will become regular annual occurrences. And this is as far as China is concerned. Whether it happens other places is a different story. It can happen in India also. It will happen in India also if it happens in China, because climate change is not specific to China, it is to the whole world. But China is at greater risk. Why is it risk? We'll see later. All of us are going to have a problem. In fact, मेरे घर में ये विचार है कि भाई हम चेन्नई में हैं, कोस्टल एरिया में हैं, कल के दिन क्लाइमेट चेंज हो गया तो हाँ यहाँ पानी आ जाएगा, हम और कहीं घर खरीद लें. ये सोच विचार तो हमारे घर में भी हो रहा है, राइट. ओके. Okay. Further in this report, what does it say? China's fragile ecological environment as well as its regional geography make it vulnerable to climate change. And that will result in longer heat waves, more frequent floods, and warmer ocean temperatures. This year, he says this year, said Chao King-chen, director of the National Climate Center, a subsidiary of the China Meteorological Administration. This is their official statement. That is why I thought I must put it across to you. This is not some कल्पना, ये मेरा कल्पना नहीं है, ये फैक्ट है, ये सनसनी केस नहीं है. आप किसी और डायलॉग, किसी और चैनल में चला जाओगे तो you will find everyone will talk what they want. I am going to talk of facts, and that is what this is. Okay. He also speaks of southern China, which covers Yunnan and Guangdong provinces, the Guangxi Zhuang region, and nearby Hong Kong. These are all the most productive areas of China, right? And what do they say? They say the government should focus on ensuring energy supplies during the summer's higher temperatures. इसके बारे में भी आगे बात करूंगा. And coastal areas should have defenses against typhoons strengthened, the experts said. The region will also see an increase in droughts. This is not, again, Sansani case. This is an official report of the Chinese. Okay. In northern China, where droughts will become less frequent, disaster prevention should target geological and secondary disasters caused by heavy rainfall, such as floods and urban waterlogging. Huanghe, sorrow of China. It will come into play. Or it could come into play. I can't say it will come into play. It could come into play. So the south is going to be drought prone. North is going to have too much water. Right? And all this is what they're saying, not what I'm saying. Okay. In 2020, when there was a time when there was so much floods in the south, and the water inflow into the Three Gorges Dam was so heavy, right, that it threatened to breach the walls of the dam. हम रोज सुनते थे ट्विटर वगैरह के ऊपर, क्या ये बांध गिर जाएगा? जिसको नहीं पता, द थ्री गॉर्जेस डैम इज द बिगेस्ट डैम इन द वर्ल्ड. इसके अंदर इतना पानी है कि ये अर्थ का रोटेशन के ऊपर असर पड़ रहा है. जब इसमें पूरा पानी है, it slows down the rotation of the earth. And this, it was said that this Three Gorges Dam cannot be taken out by an atom bomb also. ये चाइना का दावा है, पर 2020 में इसके गिरने का आशंका था। इंटरनेशनली सब देख रहे थे कि क्या ये गिर जाएगा, क्योंकि अगर ये गिर जाएगा, इतने फ्लड्स थे चाइना, साउथ चाइना के अंदर यांगजी बेसिन में, कि वाबा मच जाता, वहां हाहाकार हो जाता चाइना के अंदर। इट वुड हैव सफर्ड सिवियर डैमेज। पर 2 साल बाद 2022 में, पिछले साल इन अगस्त 22, सेम थ्री गॉर्जेस डैम के अंदर पानी नहीं था और डेड वाटर लेवल में आ गया। डेड वाटर लेवल डैम में तब होता है जब उसमें से पानी आप निकाल नहीं सकते। तो ये है क्लाइमेट चेंज। एक साल एक्सट्रीम फ्लड्स, एक साल एक्सट्रीम ड्राउट। दिस इज द इंडिकेशन। एंड माइंड यू, आप पहले स्लाइड याद रखिए, इन चाइना droughts and floods are common occurrences. Empires have changed due to droughts, floods, and famines. What is happening in the past 2 years, combine it with climate change and the World Bank report, which says that GDP of China could fall by 0.5 to 3% as early as 2030, tells you something. Right, these are the three. I'll get back to this. If you see in the center, the Yangtze Basin, there are 2 blue dots. I'll show it to you closer so that you get a clear idea. If you see, there are 2 blue dots on the, if it's south of Wuhan and north of Changsha is the Yangtze River. There are 2 blue dots. One is Lake Poyang and the other is Lake Dongting. Lake Poyang and Lake Dongting are the biggest freshwater lakes in China. Last year, they went dry or almost dry. इसका picture भी दिखाऊंगा मैं. Okay, this was the drought last year. For more than 70 days straight, a brutal heat wave ravaged much of China with sustained temperatures of more than 40 degrees Celsius. Right? It affected more than 900 million people in at least 17 provinces. Complete southern area was under drought, from southwest Sichuan to coastal Jiangsu and Zhejiang. Complete. It was an unprecedented drought in recorded history of China. This is their story, right? This was the thing. If you see the heat maps of China in 2021 and 2022, right? Again, I'll show it to you closer. You'll see the dark brown has increased, especially between Shanghai and Xi'an and Changsha. The heat it was unprecedented. Okay. Right? And this entire Yangtze Basin, where there's brown, was almost no water, and the yellow were all the drought affected areas. Why is this Yangtze Basin important? Please understand. If you see in the center, Wuhan is there. I'll explain without my face. You see Wuhan. Wuhan is one of the most major industrial areas. From Shanghai to Wuhan, this water is navigable. The Yangtze Basin is the home to the major industries of China. And if anything happens here, China's GDP will get hit. That is why that World Bank report has got logic. Right? ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है हमें समझने के लिए. ओके, पिछले साल अभी देखिए, ये यांगजी बेसिन का पूरा डिफरेंट मैप है. कंप्लीट यांगजी बेसिन वाज अफेक्टेड लास्ट ईयर. मेजर रिजर्वॉयर्स, दोबारा बोल रहा हूँ, पोयांग लेक एंड डोंगटिंग वर्चुअली ड्राइड अप. इतना गर्मी हो गया था कि वाइल्ड फायर शुरू हो गए, आग लग गया था जंगलों में नहीं, और भी. ओके, हाइड्रो पावर जनरेशन बंद हो गया था, इनलैंड शिपिंग बंद हो गया था, और ज्यादातर गुड्स फ्रॉम द वुहान इंडस्ट्रियल बेल्ट गो अलोंग यांगजी ड्यू थ्रू इनलैंड वाटर ट्रांसपोर्ट, वो सब ठप हो गया पिछले साल, राइट? Industrial production was halted. Power cuts for industry was virtually taken off, and there were problems in hospitals also. Right? This much came out. I don't know what was the actual reality, because you know how much information does not flow out of China. Yangtze River was at its lowest level since records began, and agriculture was affected extensively. China declared its first drought emergency after the Chinese communists took over. This was the severity of the drought. ये बहुत ही प्रॉब्लम था, right? The Yangtze River, I went into history, is a typical, this is what came out in one analysis, is a typical summer drought prone area in China where droughts occur frequently. A series of historical droughts occurred in the Yangtze River basin, such as 1785, 1934, 1978. उसके बाद 2006, 2013 और 2019, राइट? 2019 तक ये पुराना रिपोर्ट है, अब 2022 में भी ड्राउट हुआ है, अभी भी ये बोल रहे हैं कि एक्सट्रीम वेदर होगा। आप खुद अंदाजा लगा लीजिए, दिस आर ऑल रिकॉर्डेड स्टोरीज। ओके, this is a picture of one of the cities where Yangtze basin was seen. People used to drive with motorcycles across the Yangtze basin, which was never done in that history. This is the lake of the Poyang Lake. This is not a tree or a painting. This is a dry lake where water, small channels were made to take water out from whatever little water was left in that thing. This is a famous, or rather, ये किसी आप इंटरनेट में चले जाइए या तो ये निकल आएगा, राइट? ये पिक्चर, इन्होंने पानी के लिए इतने बड़े बड़े पंप लगाए थे. They were in misery last year. One of the reasons why Chinese economy fared badly last year was this drought. Again in 2020, the Chinese economy didn't chug well. If you see the Chinese economy, at that time it was floods. So 1 year, 2020, it was floods. 2022, it was drought. If you see this graph again, this is the heat, or rather the temperatures graph of China. Have a look at it closer. If you see that's the median temperature is what is in red. Okay, from 2000 onwards, you see the spikes in China. Okay, right? Look, let me put a disclaimer in this. I'm analyzing China. I could make the same analysis for India, and we are not in a greater position than China. If you don't wake up today, we will have problems. But there's a difference. And the difference is what I'm going to talk of a little later. Look at this. This is the difference. This is the damage due to floods since 1990. Right? The amount of floods, vagara, vagara. And this is a graph till 2018. The 2020 floods are not included. If that comes, there would have been a big spike up. This is how the floods probably were under control in this area. Okay. Next, this is the direct economic loss due to floods. It's in the same article. That's why I when I saw it first, I didn't understand. Then when I kept looking at it, I got the thing. So if you see, there's an increase in the economic loss. Floods घट रहे हैं, economic loss बढ़ रहा है. ये देखिए. क्यों? If you over industrialize or you are not taken adequate care, even a small flood will cause outsized damage. If you are very developed, the loss will be more. For the same amount of climate change effect, in China, the effect will be out of proportion because they are more developed. They have developed their industry XYZ, but have they made adequate arrangements to safeguard their assets? The answer is clearly no. All this is from predominantly Chinese information. This is the rainfall in 20, July 21, 20, sorry. This is dates, June 22 to July 21. This is of 20. If you see the main from Wuhan downwards, it's all in blue, over 600 millimeters of rain in many places. It was a massive flood. For those of you who have not watched China, at that time, every day I used to, see on the Twitter कि भाई ये बांध गया कि नहीं ये Three Gorges Dam. If you doubt me, go back and have a look. Right? This is where the fun is. Traditionally, the north is water deficient because of Hongwi. वो पानी रुकता नहीं उधर. In 2003, China launched a 60 billion south to north water transfer. They have a project. They wanted to transfer from water from the Yangtze River basin to the dry north. They also have additional plans like the Yingbijuan Canal, which takes water from the Three Gorges Dam to Beijing. This is all part of their plan. They put money in the kitty. They are also looking at shifting water from the Tibetan plateau, that is Brahmaputra, diverting water from the Brahmaputra, or from Lake Baikal, they want to get it down to Russia. They have huge plans. Why do they have all these plans? Because they don't have water. Now, south, Yangtze River, from there, where they want to transfer water from south to the north, itself suffered a drought. So, all their plans could go for a toss. They've invested a lot of money, the infrastructure. And this infrastructure is a waste. This is that red line. I'll show it to you closer. ये जितना ये रेड लाइन है वो थ्री गॉर्जस डैम से लेकर बीजिंग तक ये कैनाल बनाना चाहते हैं, एक टनल बनाना चाहते हैं. इनके आइडियाज बहुत बड़े हैं. ठीक है, राइट. ये 16 मार्च का रिपोर्ट है. ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग रिपोर्ट है. Xi Jinping says Ukraine war has shown the extreme importance of food security. Xi Jinping has said agriculture is the foundation of national security and that weak links, including low productivity, must be addressed. China faces increasing pressure to feed its 1.4 billion people and mounting external containment and uncertainty, Xi said in a newly released speech. I have shown this article only for one reason. I see Xi Jinping talking of food security every second, third month. Every second and third month. Why would a chap like Xi Jinping talk of food security every second and third month unless there's a problem of food security in China? Now you connect this up, connect with what all data I have put across to you. Coming from their own sources, where does it leave China? China is at risk. Okay? Right. So, is this the harbinger of impending climate change? Climate बदलाव में ये आने वाला है प्रॉब्लम. जितना भी चाइना का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर वो इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि उनका इकोनॉमी को सुधारने के लिए, अगर क्लाइमेट चेंज का थोड़ा भी आसार हो गया तो ये प्रॉब्लम है. अगर पानी साउथ से नॉर्थ ट्रांसफर नहीं कर पाएंगे, ये जिस तरीके से सोच रहे हैं क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से, चाइना's north plain, it produces 60% wheat, 45% corn, 35% cotton and 64% peanuts of the country. ये it's at perpetual risk hereafter. ये पता नहीं कब फेल होगा. The drought which happened last year and which is seasonal is an area where dependence on hydro water energy is high, very high. इसीलिए उनका इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर असर पड़ गया. नाउ चाइना क्या है, इट इज एनहेंसिंग थर्मल पावर. कोयले से वो बिजली निकालना चाहते हैं, राइट? पर बात यह है कि ऑल फॉर्म्स ऑफ एनर्जी प्रोडक्शन, कोई भी एनर्जी आप बनाना चाहते हो कोयला से या कहीं से भी, हाइड्रो, कोल और न्यूक्लियर, कुछ भी पानी चाहिए आपको, और वो पानी है ही नहीं. जितना पानी निकालना था चाइना ने मेरे ख्याल में निकाल दिया. जब इन्होंने इंडस्ट्रियलाइज किया, वो जितना पानी का सोर्सेस वगैरह 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 सब कुछ कर दिया. अगर कोयला ज्यादा इस्तेमाल करेंगे तो प्रदूषण बढ़ जाएगा. Pollution will go up if they use coal. So China is flattening its growth out. So if someone tells that China will continue to grow like before, rethink, right? इसमें 2 मिनट में आपको I'll spend time on this. क्योंकि इनका जो पानी का किल्लत है, मतलब इनका पानी का किल्लत नहीं है, इनका फ्लैटन हो गया, प्लेटो हो गया. That is why Xi Jinping is betting on technology. He's flattened out. It can't increase with demography X, Y, Z. Problem of demography, problem of climate change, problem of everything means that China cannot grow as it grew in the past 20 years. It has to find a new model. And the new model which Xi Jinping is trying is through diplomacy, technology, and military. I'm making a statement. इसमें मेरे को कोई डाउट नहीं है, ये होगा. बट ये क्या है कि मैं इसको थोड़ा I'll do this analysis a little more, and I think by next week I should be able to give you some inputs. I'll come back live and talk to you. Okay, right. The Yangtze Basin has home to more than billion people. 2/3 of China lives in the Yangtze Basin, astride the Yangtze Basin. It is the biggest industrial area. Right. It needs more water in an era of water shortage. Right. Overall growth in China is capped. That's what I said earlier. Last year's drought exposed vulnerability and injected uncertainty. Hence, China needs an alternate model, which is politically acceptable. That's the point. Political acceptability होना चाहिए. There is nothing on the horizon. इनका कोई प्लान जो आज तक मैंने देखा है, इसमें ऐसे कोई प्लान नहीं है where they can get over it. In my opinion, which I spoke earlier also, and I will talk, that social contract between the communists and its people, we will give you prosperity, you give your freedom, is at risk. And you combine it with other issues, thing comes out very clearly. So I finish my talk. I'll take on questions. And at the outset, I would like to thank Zaliluddin Alamgir once again. Thanks for your efforts, General Shankar. He says, Vande Matram to all of you. Right. Okay. I'll say thank you to him, and then, okay, let me go over the questions. Okay. Lee Kuan Yu Hardik says, Deng Xiaoping, Kamala Ataturk, Vladimir Putin raised their countries from ashes, overcoming huge challenges. Many times, dictators ruling with iron fist can change course of history. Thoughts? I agree with you, but Deng Xiaoping has done it. But Xi Jinping is doing exactly the opposite. मैंने एक वीडियो में दिखाया और मैं बाद में ये भी दिखाऊंगा, जब से when Xi Jinping has taken over reins of the country in 2012, his GDP has gone down, privatization has gone down. Privatization was the engine of China's growth. It's gone down. His BRI mega thing has failed. So there are so many things which we have spoken of. That's why I said I've done 14 episodes before this, before I am talking something based on my own analysis. Right? Okay. Yamato and Bismarck were destroyed because of concentrated lethality, which was a disaster. Dozens of U-boats with distributed lethality was best for them. Is it also applicable? That's well, we'll see how it happens. Okay. PS says, sir, you should start a paid course. People will come to learn. No, I don't want. I have served my country free of cost. I won't say free of cost. I was paid for it, but with a larger aim. पैसा आता है जाता है जिंदगी में, लोग याद रह जाते हैं, right? Okay. Then Raghunandan says, sir, dam in China would have developed crack in them, and if not full, not even one, sir, your view on it. Look, a lot of dams at that in 2022 were broken, and China actually, उन्होंने क्या किया कि many minor dams they blew up, so that the water doesn't come into Three Gorges Dam and break Three Gorges Dam. They had to break dams. They had to break their own investments. This is on record. So they have to spend money back on those dams, because otherwise those areas will get affected. So I mean, I have not gone into full details. If you go into full details of what this problem, you will see many more problems. And we think China has a superpower. Okay, should we follow sea denial instead of sea domination? Well, this is a thing which, when I talk of the maritime construct, which I will with a naval officer, I am lining up any admiral, good one. We'll talk about it. Simran says, excellent general, sir. I'm okay. Right. Yeah, let me see. Is weather modification program threat to us? Why would they control weather in their Hardik, don't get to this thing. You can't control weather. You can, you do put what Chinese do is cloud seeding for local rain. That is done by silver iodide seeding. You can only control that much and nothing more. Don't worry. Okay. Kotari says, how do you look at the recent order of 307 attacks? It is a deterrent of sorts, or both? Just please explain the difference between artillery gun and a howitzer. I'll take it on some other day, but let me tell you, it's a good thing which has happened. I started this attacks program when I was in service. I'm glad order has gone. It's taken nearly about 10 years, but that's the cycle of development. There's not much difference today between a gun and a howitzer. Gun and a howitzer ka kyalat was of last century. Today it's called a gun howitzer. It does the same thing, so don't worry about it. Yeah. What is the application of weather radars in military? We are installing 10 of them to counter China. Look, weather radars in military is for firing missiles and guns. We have quite a bit. It's not only 10. I don't know where you got this figure from and who gave you this. We have plenty, and we need different methods, which is there. Okay. Sir, why no media report or economist is talking about these things? It is strange. I agree with you. My analysis of China is different, and whatever I have analyzed of China has come correct so far. I am very proud of it, because I have been seeing China from at close quarters from the 90s, right? When I was a major. I've seen them across the IB. I've not been to China, but I've read a lot of books on China. And my view of China differs from very many people. China has peaked. You'll see some of this in the Western press. Those people who really read China, they know that China has peaked. In fact, a lot of commentary which came out last year, which says, in fact, I think Japan, Nikkei Asia or the Namuras, they came out with the analysis that China's economy is going to flatten out. Okay. Uh, Suresh says, Jai Hind sir, very enlightening analysis and comments. Thank you. How do you think climate change could affect Tibet and how much army and infrastructure China stations there? Well, climate change is going to affect all of us. It's going to affect Tibet also. How it will affect Tibet, I really don't know today, to be very honest. Okay, because much of our monsoon system depends on Tibet. The northeast monsoon, see, if you study the monsoons, the southeast monsoon southwest monsoon, जो अभी होने वाला है अगले 2-3 महीने में मई एंड जून से शुरू होने वाला है, it starts on the equator. Okay, and it comes across the Kerala coast, crosses the peninsula, goes across the Bay of Bengal and goes up. It goes, hits the Tibetan plateau, and then it starts retreating back. That's why it's called the retreating monsoon. So if I don't know how climate change is going to affect. If it happens, we're going to have problems of our own. And army and infrastructure, we generally know it quite a bit, so I'll not get into it. I'll go into it some other day. Uh, how should India plan possible war with China? Do you think without attacking mainland, we can put China in trouble? Yes, there are methods. I have no doubt about it. We should not attack the mainland at all, right? But that is in a different scenario because next week onwards, I'm going to start on the Indo-Pacific. I'll talk and then I'll get back with the General Sanjay Kulkarni. We will talk about the LAC, right? Okay. Next, Yash says, sir, how technology will help China as renewables are renewables more costlier than coal-based power plants? No, renewables are cheaper for the simple reason coal-based power plants at the outset would be cheaper, but pollution-wise you pay a bigger price. That see, जैसे मैंने बोला, why is Xi Jinping focusing on technology? He sees technology as a route out of his problems. But there are many ifs of what is this. Prima facie, it appears that technology will solve all problems. It will not. If China has to grow, it needs more energy, which will not come from renewables alone. He needs space-based technology. He needs space-based power. He needs all kinds of power. But that's a different story. I'll talk about it separately. Okay. Bhakti says, please do an analysis on impact of China's decision regarding climate change on India. China has not taken any decision regarding climate change on India, so don't worry. Okay. How China sees the world, what is their perspective? Wait for one more week. I will talk about it. Okay. Can we get back Sasaram Valley from China? ये बाद में देखेंगे. It's a hypothetical question. My humble request to cover a show on our forces' massive logistics exercise performed during Ladakh skirmish. I think our people needs to be educated on the unimaginable scale of logistics movement. Yeah, I will. I think that's an important thing. Let me explain to you. I'll hold a separate thing on how this whole thing unfolded in you know Ladakh. I have first-hand experience, not of the Ladakh thing. I was posted in this very area where I was the Colonel Adam or the Colonel in charge of administration of this entire area. So I know the entire logistics of how it happens. So I'll explain it to you. And I have a lot of on-ground experience. I will get back to you. Climate change will make Siberia hospitable for masses. Would mass immigration from tropical and temperate regions towards poles will make Russia a superpower. Arctic investment. Look, Hardik, I will take this on separately on a different day and or in a different context because this is a subject of its own kind. I won't like to speculate on this at this point of time. Right? I don't see any more questions. Any more questions? You're welcome to ask. Right? I'll endeavor because we have about 4-5 minutes more. Okay. Uh, as you can think, I'll still answer. I want to put across something to you. I got a lot of feedback that during my show on China Dialogue, Casa Dialogue, with guests that I interfere more and all that. I see a point because I'm not the moderator by nature. I like to talk and analyze. So it's possible that when the speaker is speaking, I get my own idea and I put it across. I need to be more patient on that. There's no doubt I will be. बट मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली आपको समझना चाहिए कि ये मैं द्विभाषी प्रोग्राम है, ये मैं हिंदी में भी बात कर रहा हूँ, इंग्लिश में भी बात कर रहा हूँ। मैं ये क्यों कर रहा हूँ आपको पता होना चाहिए। अगर आप डेस्कटॉप्स में मैं सिर्फ इंग्लिश में बात करता था और जयपुर डायलॉग्स में सिर्फ हिंदी में बात करता था, पर ये जो है यहाँ जब मैंने ये प्रोग्राम शुरू किया था, डेस्कटॉप से भी आए हैं और जयपुर डायलॉग से भी आए हैं, दोनों तरफ से आए हैं और आई मस्ट कम्युनिकेट इन बोथ लैंग्वेजेस। सो कभी कभी जब जो स्पीकर है एक ही भाषा में बोल लेते हैं तो मैं उनको रोक लगाना पड़ता है ताकि मैं उनको कन्वर्ट करूं और दूसरे जो भाषा में जो समझते हैं उनको समझाना पड़ता है। इसलिए मैं कभी कभी उनको स्पोक डाल देता हूँ। ये कुछ दिन चलेगा। यू हैव टू बी पेशेंट विद मी। My aim is not to stop those people from speaking. My aim is to translate it into a language you understand. जिस भाषा में आप जानते हैं उसमें मैं ट्रांसलेट करना चाहता हूँ। So just be patient. We'll settle into a thing, right? And last but not the least, please tell your friends to subscribe to this channel. There's a whole lot of information and knowledge which I'm trying to get. It's not my knowledge. I'm going to get a whole lot of things, and we will, go about it in a logical manner. And I want more people to listen to what I'm trying to say, and even say go against me. I have no problem, right? Because I feel that if you have only difference of opinion, you can progress. Yeah, Sam Andrews says, "Hi, General Shankar. Hope you're well. I am well. Thank you, Sam. What would your opinions concerning on climate change in Tibet?" I just said, if climate change happens in Tibet, we are in trouble. Let's be very clear. Whether it affects China or not, I couldn't care a damn. But if something happens in Tibet, our monsoon system gets affected. If our monsoon system gets affected, your agriculture gets affected, and a whole lot of things get affected. Your economy gets affected, right? We have to start thinking. I've done an analysis of our own water problem. I've spoken about Pakistan's water problem. I've spoken about China's water problem. But the fact is, अगर हमें strategic independence चाहिए या strategic autonomy चाहिए, पानी का management is a very, very, very major thing in our country. And I have no doubt in saying that we are not doing enough. Right? This is something which all governments have conveniently swept it under the carpet. We have grand plans. Some of these plans were good plans, mind you. The Indira Gandhi Nehar जो हमने बनाया है, right from Ravi Harikhet down to Barmer, वो बहुत it's one of the wonders of this area, क्योंकि उन्हें पूरा इलाका राजस्थान से बारमेर तक उसको हरा कर दिया। और ये जो नर्मदा डैम और नर्मदा सरोवर का जो प्लान है, इससे भी पूरा गुजरात में हरियाली आ गया काफी। अगर आप जानते नहीं हो तो एक आई एम फॉरगेटिंग इट्स नेम, देयर इज वन टाउनशिप जो राजस्थान और गुजरात बॉर्डर में है, उसके उस साइड जो है इंदिरा गांधी नहर आके खत्म हो जाता है बारमेर के नीचे, और उसके साउथ में जो है आपका नर्मदा का पानी आके खत्म हो जाता है। एक छोटा सा स्ट्रेच है वो 10-15 किलोमीटर का, जहाँ डेजर्ट है, बाकी सब हरियाली है। So we have changed, we have done, but have we done enough? No. We have not yet tapped Indus waters, right? Indus water treaty अगर हम लगाएंगे और उसके ऊपर पैसा खर्च करके, और ये सतलज यमुना लिंक कैनाल जो पॉलिटिक्स में गिरा हुआ है, उसको अगर हम ठीक करेंगे तो हमें पानी नहीं होगा, क्योंकि समर में गंगा प्लेन में पानी की किल्लत पड़ता है, और नॉर्थ साउथ वाटर ट्रांसफर की स्कीम बनाने की जरूरत है। So there are a lot of things which we can do, but we have a problem. We have to address them. Okay. Tarun says, General Sir, systemic analysis enlightens us. Thanks. Thank you. These are the points which have come. Thanks a lot. And thanks for so many people watching. I would love more people to watch. Tell your friends, please. Right? Someone says, should we invest in water desalination? Water desalination is a very costly process. Right? I wouldn't go. For the kind of population we have, it's a very difficult proposition. Right? Uh, Water security, as Sam Andrews says, is I think he's hit the nail on the head. Uh, Water security is the key to our national security. It's not only to our national security, it's to our strategic independence. If you want, you have to sort out your water problems. If you want to be a great nation tomorrow, you have to sort out water problems. Right? Uh, Right. Thanks a lot. With this, I'll come back Monday. We are going to talk about the Indo-Pacific security initiatives. On Wednesday, I will put out a video on how China has started looking at India in the recent past, because it's got a bearing on everything else. Because I'm out, I have to go to the National Defense College to give a talk, and I have some other commitments in Delhi. So Wednesday, it will be a recorded talk which I'm going to release. And on Friday, I'll be back with General KJ Singh, who was the earlier Army Commander, Western Army Commander, and we'll talk of Afghanistan. When we finish talking of Afghanistan, we would have spoken of China to some extent. Kashmir, we have spoken of Pakistan, and we have spoken of Afghanistan. So it will give you a fair idea, and we have spoken of Bhutan and Nepal also. It would have given you a fair idea. Plus the fact that I have spoken about military technology and all that. I would suggest all of you start seeing the military technology series, which is actually very good. I've learned a lot doing that series. Thank you. Good evening and Jai Hind.